to understand cosecant and secant, we're going to have to really look at what it is to graph sine and cosine. So day 2, so I'm going to graph the other 3 reciprocal functions and give you an idea of those. So going back to that unit circle, I am though first going to go through and look at the inverse, or not the inverse rather, the reciprocal of cosecant. So that's going to be the sine. So if I go through, that means I want to go on this unit circle and I want to highlight all of the y values. Okay, and I'm not going to use all of these again. I'm just going to use all of these now to kind of show you what happens, and then you can pick some major points to graph the thing. But anyways, typically maybe can I go like sine above, and then I'll do the cosecant just below it. So sine is normally 0. Pi over 4, that's going to be the square root of 2 over 2. This is going to turn into 1. The square root of 2 over 2. This is going to be back to 0. And then I got negative square root of 2 over 2. I've got negative 1, negative square roots of 2 over 2, and then I'm back to 0. So I'm going to go ahead and take reciprocals of these. So 1 over 0. I've got undefined. This is going to flip over 2 square roots of 2. With a little bit of simplifying, it turns into the square root of 2. 1 is going to stay 1. This will be the square root of 2. This is going to be undefined. This is going to be negative square root of 2. This is going to be negative 1, negative square root of 2, and back to undefined. Before I go and do all that, I'm going to, here in red, put just regular old sine on my graph. So sine was 0, pi over 2 goes up to 1, goes back to 0, 3 pi over 2 goes to negative 1, and then back up to 0. So this is sine, and I'm going to use that as a guide. Okay, and I'm just going to keep on going backwards to get a little bit more of a period look, or kind of fluctuating. There we go. So here's what I'll do. Whenever I see on the sine graph 0, I'm going to put an asymptote, because at 0, cosecant is undefined. At 0, cosecant is undefined. At 0, cosecant is undefined. Okay, so I put down sine. I'm going to go to another point, and maybe I'll do some other points here in on there as blue. There we go. I'll go to 1, and I'll be at 1. That's no big deal. Negative 1, I'll be at 1. But now the square root of 2, which used to be a decimal, turns in, or sorry, the square root of 2 over 2 will turn into about 1.4. So over here at pi over 4, I've got like 1 and about a half. And over here I got 1 and a half again at 5 pi over 4. And then I've got the same thing, but now it's negative 1 and a half and negative 1 and a half, and I end up getting something that looks like this. So it looks like kind of parabolas that end up showing up in between those asymptotes, and that's cosecant. Period now, no longer going to be the 2 pi. These graphs, I take that back. It is still in a little bit of a broken up thing, but it kind of looks like a U in between pi and whatnot. So when I graph secant, really very similar. I'm going to skip the whole completing the whole table and showing you all the reciprocals as before, but the only difference is now I'm going to go 1 over cosine of x. So if I did cosine is going to be again your x values. X, not y. So when I go through the cosine, I got 1, 0, negative 1, 0, and 1. And in between there, I got the square root of 2. I've got now negative square root of 2 over 2. I've got the square root of 2 over 2 that's still negative, and the square root of 2 over 2. So when I go to my graph for cosine, I'll start at 1. Pi over 2, I end up at 0. Negative 1. 3 pi over 2, I got 0, and then I'm back up to 1. So just like this, except for it doesn't start at 0, it starts at 1. So secant is going to be 1. This is going to be the square root of 2. This is going to be undefined. This is going to be negative square root of 2. This is going to be negative 1. Negative square root of 2. Undefined. The square root of 2. And back up to 1. So I'm going to go to my 0 spots on cosine, and I'm going to put asymptotes. Maybe I should do cosine back this way a little bit more. Sorry, I got a little ugly over there. But at 0, again, whenever that cosine graph hits 0, I'll put an asymptote. Wherever I see the max of 1, I'll put the u going up. Oh, poor drawing. My bad. And then whenever it's down below at the minimum at negative 1, I'll go with a little parabola looking thing going there. And again, it's asymptote, so it's going to get really close to that line. But I'm essentially using sine and cosine to kind of give myself a little bit of barrier. Tangent's not the same way, though. Tangent is sine over cosine. So here's what tangent were to look like on the graphing calculator. It has vertical asymptotes. Okay, and remember, the thing with tangent is the period turns into pi instead of 2 pi. I should go back up there. Yeah, period's 2 pi. Period's 2 pi. I'm just gonna flip-flop them. So now the graph kind of looks like a mirror image. There's a little bit of shifting, but it's still going to have vertical asymptotes. It's going to be a thing of pi. So I'll go through the table again. I'm going to go with tangent right here. So tangent at 0 is going to be 0 over 1. This is 1 over 0, undefined. This is going to be 0 over negative 1, so 0, negative 1 over 0, undefined. I'll pick 45 degrees or pi over 4, and that ends up being 1. I'll pick 3 pi over 4, which is going to be negative 1. I got positive 1 and negative 1. So those were my key points for that. Let's see. So at 0, the 1, undefined, and then I've got negative 1, I've got 0, I've got 1, I've got undefined again, and I have got 7 pi over 4, we'll check real quick, negative 1, and then back to 0. I'm going to go in blue around the circle instead of in the table, and now I'll switch it over to 1 over 0, which is now undefined. 1 over 1 is still going to be 1. 0 over 1, so this undefined will turn into 0. Okay. This is staying negative 1 when I flip that over. Now this becomes undefined, and then this will become 1, 0, negative 1, and undefined. So my asymptotes, which were at pi over 2 and 3 pi over 2 or negative pi over 2, are now going to switch over to asymptotes at 0 and at 180 or pi. Okay, when I have pi over 4, it's going to go up to 1. When I'm at pi over 2, I'm at 0. When I'm at pi over 4, 5 pi over 4, I'm down to negative 1. So it kind of looks like this. Whereas cosine would have been from, if I were to look at it from left to right, so from left to right, this is starting up and then going down. Tangent was going, starting down and going up. Another thing that's a little bit different is tangent would have been shifted over here from negative pi over 2 to pi over 2. This just gets shifted over a little bit in my things. So basically, wherever tangent had a 0, it turned into, it's undefined, and wherever it was undefined, it turns into 0. Okay, so that is the other 3 reciprocal graphs. And I hope to just practice that a lot when we get to class 2.